Attitudes toward human sexuality threaten the moral authority of women on several fronts. Abortion, for personal or social convenience, strikes at the heart of a woman's most sacred powers and destroys her moral authority. The same is true of sexual immorality and of revealing dress that not only debases women, but reinforces the lie that a woman's sexuality is what defines her worth. There's long been a cultural double standard that expected women to be sexually circumspect while excusing male immorality. The unfairness of such a double standard is obvious, and it has been justifiably criticized and rejected. In that rejection, one would have hoped that men would rise to the higher single standard, but just the opposite has occurred. Women and girls are now encouraged to be as promiscuous as the double standard expected men to be. Where once women's higher standards demanded commitment and responsibility from men, we now have sexual relations without conscience, fatherless families, and growing poverty. Equal opportunity promiscuity simply robs women of their moral influence and degrades all of society.
The ultimate act of destruction is to take a life. That is why abortion is such a serious sin. Our attitude toward abortion is not based on a revealed knowledge of when mortal life begins for legal purposes. It is fixed by our knowledge that according to an eternal plan, all of the spirit children of God must come to this earth for a glorious purpose, and that individual identity began long before conception and will continue for all the eternities to come. We rely on the prophets of God who have told us that while there may be rare exceptions, the practice of elective abortion is fundamentally contrary to the Lord's injunction, "Thou shalt not kill nor do anything like unto it."
Mortal life is sacred to us. Our commitment to God's plan requires us to oppose abortion and euthanasia.
Another core principle is moral purity. One of the most pervasive deceptions in recent years is the notion that immorality is normal and acceptable and has no negative consequences. In truth, immorality is the underlying cause of much suffering and many other problems that are prevalent today, including rampant disease, abortion, broken families, families without fathers, and mothers who themselves are children. President Ezra Taft Benson said, "The plaguing sin of this generation is sexual immorality." The Lord said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery, nor do anything like unto it." That means we are to avoid abnormal sexual behavior, including fornication, homosexual behavior, child molestation, or any other perversion of God's plan of happiness.
Many good people, being influenced by the old spirit of the times, are now seeking surgery for the wife or the husband so that they may avoid pregnancies and comply with the strident voice demanding a reduction of children. It was never easy to bear and rear children, but easy things do not make for growth and development. But loud, blatant voices today shout fewer children and offer the pill, drugs, surgery, and even unholy abortion to accomplish that.
John Dart, religion editor for the Los Angeles Times, wrote a column last February in which he said, and I quote, "A survey of influential television writers and executives in Hollywood has shown that they are far less religious than the general public and diverge sharply from traditional values on such issues as abortion, homosexual rights, and extramarital sex. While nearly all of the 104 Hollywood professionals had a religious background, 45% now say they have no religion, and of the other 55%, only 7% say they attend a religious service as much as once a month. This group has had a major role in shaping the shows whose themes and stars have become staples in our popular culture. 80% of the respondents said they did not regard homosexual relations as wrong, and 51% did not deem adultery as wrong. Of the 49% who called extramarital affairs wrong, only 17% felt that way strongly, the study said. Nearly all, 97%, favored the right of a woman to choose an abortion, 91% holding that view strongly. By contrast, other surveys have indicated that 85% of Americans consider adultery wrong, 71% regard homosexual activity wrong, and nearly 3/4 of the public wants abortion limited to certain hard cases or banned altogether. Those surveyed are well paid, with annual incomes of above $200,000, but 75% also call themselves liberals, compared to 27% of the public that does, and 70% believe that government should substantially reduce the income gap between rich and poor. 2 out of 3 believe that TV should be a major force for social reform, close quote.
On matters of morality, he has given more specific counsel on such issues as abortion, the Equal Rights Amendment, homosexuality, and pornography. Current issues, sometimes categorized as women's issues, he has given direct counsel. Women know that they have the right to accept or reject the counsel, but in keeping with fundamental doctrine, they must also realize that to reject it is a heavy responsibility. It is the calling of a prophet to see to the very heart of a moral issue, to envision its future course, and to warn the people of its consequences. Sometimes those who do not agree with what he says may refuse to heed the warning. Only later, sadly, is the truth of his words made obvious to all.
When the word self is militantly placed before other words like fulfillment, you rock a sobbing child without wondering if today's world is passing you by, because you know you hold tomorrow tightly in your arms. So often our sisters comfort others when their own needs are greater than those being comforted. That quality is like the generosity of Jesus on the cross. Empathy during personal agony is a portion of divinity. I thank the Father that his only begotten Son did not say in defiant protest at Calvary, "My body is my own." I stand in admiration of women today who resist the fashion of abortion by refusing to make the sacred womb a tomb. Nowhere is the right of choice defended with more vigor than with abortion. Having chosen to act, and a conception having occurred, it cannot then be unchosen. But there are still choices, and always a best one. Sometimes the covenant of marriage has been broken. More often, none was made. In or out of marriage, abortion is not an individual choice. At a minimum, 3 lives are involved. And the scriptures tell us, "Thou shalt not kill, nor do anything like unto it, except where the wicked crime of incest or rape was involved, or where competent medical authorities certify that the life of the mother is in jeopardy, or that a severely defective fetus cannot survive birth. Abortion is clearly a thou shalt not." Even in these very exceptional cases, much sober prayer is required to make the right choice. We face such sobering choices because we are the children of God.
It seems that in these days of frustration from every side, we are being asked such questions as, what does the church think about the Vietnam War? What is the stand of the church on overpopulation and birth control? What is the position of the church relative to abortion? How should we combat the threat of communism throughout the world? What are the views of the church relative to crime wave and the increase of juvenile delinquency? What can be done to strengthen family ties and reduce the wave of immorality, to seek self-reliance and responsibility in moral and physical discipline. Are there no solutions to these problems? To set the theme for my few remarks, may I repeat something of vital importance, which was said from this pulpit almost 10 years ago by a former president of the church, President David O. McKay. And I quote, "In these days of uncertainty and unrest, liberty-loving people's greatest responsibility and paramount duty is to preserve and proclaim the freedom of the individual, his relationship to deity, and the necessity of obedience to the principles of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Only thus will mankind find peace and happiness," unquote.